The metal door slammed shut behind her. She hit the ground hard. Cold, wet stone pressed against her knees. Her silver armor was broken, and her hands were tied with thick wire. Her lip was bleeding. Her eyes darted around the dark cell. She wasn't. A lone dot in the far corner. Someone sat in the shadows. She stopped breathing. The shape moved. A tall figure leaned forward. His eyes caught the faint red glow from the hallway light. Human eyes. Her heart pounded in her chest. A human. No, this couldn't be real. Her people had told her stories. Humans were monsters, hunters. They didn't show mercy. They didn't feel pain. If you ever got caught by one, you were as good as dead. And now she was locked inside a cell. With one. The human didn't speak. He just watched her. She pressed her back against the opposite wall. Her legs trembled. Her people would never leave her here like this, would they? This had to be a mistake. A test. Still. The human didn't move. She waited, shaking. He looked dirty. His face was rough, with small scars across his cheek. His hair was long and messy. His armor was dented, and one arm was in a sling. He looked tired. But his eyes, those deep, dark human eyes, never left hers. Finally he spoke. "You're bleeding." His voice was deep, but calm. She didn't answer. He sighed and pulled something from his bag. A small metal flask. He rolled it across the floor toward her. It stopped at her feet. She stared at it. Was it poison? A trick? "Water," he said simply. "It's clean." She didn't move. The human leaned his head back against the wall and closed his eyes. "I'm not gonna hurt you." Lear. She knew what his kind did. She'd seen the burned villages, the destroyed ships. Her mother told her stories as a child. Never trust a human. Still, her throat was dry. She hadn't had water since the raid. She grabbed the flask with shaking hands. Sniffed it. It smelled normal. She took a sip. Cold. Real. She drank more fast until it was empty. Then she looked back at him. "Why?" she asked. His eyes opened. "Because you looked like you needed it." She narrowed her eyes. "You're the enemy." He gave a tired smile. "Aren't we both prisoners?" She didn't answer. He pointed to his shackled leg. Heavy chains locked into the wall. His body looked bruised, like he'd been beaten badly. "Name's Kane," he said. After a moment, she stared at him in silence. "What, your kind doesn't talk?" She finally spoke. "Zaira." He nodded once. For a while they just sat there, not saying anything. Zaira studied him carefully. He didn't have the look of a killer. Not now. He looked like someone who'd seen too much. Lost too much, maybe. Like her. "I thought humans were heartless," she whispered. Kane chuckled softly. "Yeah, I thought aliens were all cold and cruel. Are we?" He met her eyes. "You don't look cruel." Her cheeks warmed. She turned away quickly. That night, the temperature dropped. The wind howled through the cracks in the walls. The cold was sharp, biting into her skin. She tried to sleep, but her teeth were shaking. Then, a soft sound. Kane pushed something across the floor. A folded blanket. He didn't say a word. Just waited. She looked at it. Then at him. Slowly, she crawled forward and took the blanket. Their hands brushed. Her skin tingled. His hand was warm, strong, but gentle. He didn't grab her. He didn't pull her closer. He let go. She wrapped the blanket around herself and sat down again, facing him. Her voice was soft this time. "You were supposed to kill me." He stared at the ceiling. "Maybe I'm tired of killing." She blinked. No one had ever said that before. Not from his kind. Zaira lowered her head. The blanket smelled like dust and metal. But it was warm. She lay down, eyes half closed. Kane's voice came again, quiet. "Don't worry. I'm not your enemy tonight." And for the first time in weeks, she believed him. She fell asleep with a human only 10 feet away. But strangely, she didn't feel afraid. She felt something else. Something warmer than the Blanket. Something dangerous. Something she didn't understand yet. But soon would. Zaira didn't sleep long. She opened her eyes when she heard something. A sound? A laugh? No. It was a soft chuckle. Human laughter. From the corner of the cell. Kane. He was laughing. She turned her head, confused. Her hair was messy, sticking to her cheek. Why are you laughing? Kane looked up, resting his head back against the wall. You snore. Her eyes widened. I do not. You do, he said. Not loud, but it's cute. She stared at him like he had just insulted a queen. Why would you say that? She asked, sitting up. I figured, Kane shrugged. If you were going to stab me in my sleep, you'd have done it already. Zaira blinked. I don't have a weapon. Well, neither do I, he said, raising his hand, still chained. She narrowed her eyes. You still have your teeth, he grinned. You noticed. She hated that it made her chest feel lighter. She pulled the blanket tighter around her. The cold was still bad, but something inside her was starting to melt. Just a little. Are you always like this? She asked. Like what? Smiling, joking, acting like we're not enemies. Kane leaned forward. If I treat you like a monster, you'll act like one. But if I treat you like someone worth talking to, maybe you'll surprise me. Zaira didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to her like this, especially not a human. She lowered her eyes, then asked something that had been burning in her mind all night. Did you hurt anyone during the war? Kane's smile faded. His eyes dropped to the floor. Yes, he said quietly. Too many. Do you regret it? He nodded. Every night. Zaira felt her chest tighten. She had killed too. She just never told anyone how much it haunted her. For a moment, both of them sat in silence. Two soldiers from different sides. Two killers pretending to be just people. Then Kane spoke again. I once saw a soldier cry while holding a dying bird, he said. I blinked. Why are you telling me this? Because that soldier was my enemy, Kane replied. And I couldn't shoot him after that. He was just a man, trying not to lose his soul. She felt a chill run down her spine, but it wasn't from the cold. She looked at Kane differently now, not as a monster, not as a human, but as someone broken. Just like her. Suddenly, the door above clanked. Voices echoed down the hallway. Rough. Angry. Armed guards. Zaira jumped up. Kane stood too. Chains rattling. What now? She whispered. Kane didn't answer. He just stepped forward, raising both hands slowly. The cell door creaked open. Two guards entered. Alien soldiers. Her people. One looked at Zaira, then at Kane. Then he sneered. So this is the beast they locked you with? Zaira stood still. Don't touch him, the guard laughed. Why? Did you fall in love? The other grabbed Kane by the collar. Zaira's eyes flashed. Stop it. The first guard stepped closer to her. He's not your pet, girl. Kane didn't fight back. He stood still as they pushed him. But when one of the guards raised his baton, Zaira shouted, Enough! The two guards paused. She's defending him, one muttered. The other looked disgusted. Disgraceful. Then they walked out, slamming the door again. Kane leaned back against the wall. His cheek was bruised. Zaira walked over, slowly. Then knelt. She reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were soft. Kane flinched slightly, then relaxed. Thanks, he said. You didn't even fight them. Kane shrugged. I've had worse. Zaira looked into his eyes. You're not what I expected. He smiled, tired. Neither are you. And for the first time, she smiled back, but deep inside, a dangerous thought bloomed in her chest. If this human can make me feel this way, then what else have they lied about? The third night was the coldest. Zaira had wrapped the blanket around herself 3 times, but her body still shivered. Her breath came out in small white clouds. Her alien skin, pale and silver, had started to turn blue at the edges. She looked at Kane. The human sat quietly against the wall. He hadn't said much since the guards beat him. One eye was still swollen. His lip had a cut. But he didn't complain. He just stared at the ceiling like he was trying to escape in his mind. Zaira bit her lip. Her pride told her to stay on her side of the cell, far from him, but her body said something else. The floor was freezing. Her joints hurt. Her tail had gone numb. She shifted closer to his side, just a little. Kane noticed. "You cold?" She nodded without looking at him. He opened the edge of his coat and said nothing more. She hesitated. Then, slowly, carefully, she slid beside him. Close enough to feel his body heat. She sat still for a long moment. Then, her shoulder touched his arm. His warmth surprised her. She didn't expect a human to feel like this. She expected sharpness, pain, violence. Instead, it was like resting next to a living furnace. His body was hard muscle and bone, but his presence was calming, steady. Zaira didn't mean to lean more, but she did. And when he didn't move away, she rested her head against his shoulder. Kane let out a soft breath, but didn't say a word. The silence felt peaceful. Safe. Zaira whispered, "You smell strange." Kane raised an eyebrow. "I've been locked in here 3 days. You're not exactly perfume either." She laughed under her breath. Then her voice turned quiet. "I dreamed about you last night." Kane blinked. "What kind of dream?" She hesitated. "You were standing in a fire. Everyone was running from you. But I walked toward you, and you held out your hand. I touched it, and the fire didn't burn me." Kane didn't reply at first. Then he said softly, "Weird dream." It didn't feel weird. He looked down at her. "Scary?" "No," she said. It felt like something was changing. She didn't say more. Kane's breathing slowed. Zaira closed her eyes, and somewhere between silence and sleep, her hand slid against his. Not on purpose. Not completely, but when he didn't pull away. She didn't either. She woke up gasping. Sweat covered her neck. Her heart was racing. Her hands were shaking. Kane woke too. "What happened?" She looked around the cell, confused. "I saw it again. The fire. But this time, I was inside it." Kane frowned. "Were you okay?" She nodded. "You were there too." Kane waited. "You pulled me out," she whispered. Kane said nothing. Then softly, he asked, "Do you want to tell me what's going on in your head?" She hugged her knees. "I don't know." He leaned forward. "You're afraid." "I'm not afraid of you," she said quickly. Kane gave a crooked smile. "That's not what I meant." She looked at him. "I mean you're afraid. Because you're starting to trust me," he said. She didn't respond. Didn't need to. Her silence was the truth. Later that night, after a long pause, she whispered, "Do humans dream too?" "Yeah, what do you dream of?" Kane's voice was flat. "My brother. He died last year. Ship explosion." Zaira's eyes lowered. "I'm sorry." Kane nodded slowly. "War kills everything, Zaira. Even the people it doesn't touch." She swallowed hard. Then, without warning, she asked, "What do you see when you look at me?" Kane didn't answer right away. Then he sighed. "A girl who's cold, tired, scared, and pretending not to be." She blinked fast. And whispered, "You're not supposed to understand me this well." Kane looked straight into her eyes. Too late. And for the first time since this war began, she didn't feel like a soldier. She felt like a girl, sitting beside a human who somehow made her feel alive again. But deep down, she feared what would happen if her people saw them like this. And even deeper, she feared what she might do next. The next day, she didn't want to move. Zaira sat in the corner of the cell, hugging her knees. The cold had gone deep into her skin. She could feel every bruise, every cracked scale. Her back was stiff. Her shoulder had dried blood around the edge of an old wound, still unclean. Cain noticed. He was watching her again. Not like a predator, but like someone trying to decide whether to speak or stay quiet. This time he chose to speak. "You're hurt." She didn't answer. He stood up slowly. The chain around his ankle stopped him from coming too close, but he crouched down and stretched his hand toward her. "Let me help." Zaira looked at his fingers, rough, scarred, but strangely gentle. She pulled away. "Why?" "Because if that cut gets infected, you won't last the week." She gave him a hard stare. "I don't need pity." Cain narrowed his eyes. "Good, because I'm not offering any." She blinked. "I'm offering care," he said, "and maybe you've never had that before." She looked away, but she didn't say no. Slowly, carefully, she crawled over and sat in front of him. Cain pulled out a tiny cloth from his worn belt pouch. It was torn and stained, but he poured a little water onto it and rubbed it gently between his fingers. Then he reached for her. "May I?" She nodded, but didn't speak. His hand moved to her shoulder, where her armor had broken. He slid the plate off gently, exposing her skin underneath. Zaira inhaled sharply, not because it hurt, but because of the way his fingers brushed over her skin. He wiped the blood away. The cloth was cold, but his touch was warm. Too warm. Zaira closed her eyes for a moment. Her breathing slowed. Cain's voice was low. "Sorry, does it sting?" She opened her mouth, but the word got caught in her throat. "It's okay," he said. Then she let out a quiet moan. It wasn't from pain. It wasn't loud. It was more like a breath that had escaped before she could stop it. Her eyes opened wide. Cain looked at her, but didn't speak. Zaira's face flushed a soft silver pink. I didn't mean." Cain sat back, giving her space. "You don't have to explain. I mean, you touched where He raised a hand, stopping her. "I know." For a long moment, neither of them said a word. The silence wasn't cold this time. It was burning. Finally, Zaira whispered, "You're the first person who ever touched me without wanting something." Cain looked into her eyes. "Maybe that's the problem." "What is?" "That everyone else wanted something, and I don't." Zaira searched his face. "Then why are you being so kind to me?" Cain gave a small smile. "Because when I look at you, I don't see a soldier anymore. I see someone who's tired of bleeding." She felt something snap inside her. Not pain, not fear, something warmer. She reached out, and this time her fingers touched his chest, just lightly, just to feel what was real. "Your heart is beating fast," she whispered. "So is yours," Cain said. She didn't move her hand, neither did he. Later, as they sat beside each other again, Zaira asked, "Do you think we're both broken?" Cain chuckled softly. "Probably. And broken things don't last long. Not unless they lean on each other," he said. Zaira looked at his face again, not like an enemy, not even like a man, but like someone who had every reason to hate her, and still chose to heal her. She rested her head on his shoulder and whispered, "I don't want to hate anymore." Cain nodded. "Then don't." But outside the cell, boots echoed in the hallway. The guards were returning, and someone had told them about the way the alien girl looked at the human. Everything was about to change, and the first to bleed again might not be her. Zaira didn't expect them to come so soon. The morning was still dark. Cain was asleep beside her, breathing slowly. His body had finally relaxed for the first time in days. One of her hands rested gently over his chest. She hadn't meant to fall asleep like that, but she had. That's when the door slammed open. Shouts, footsteps, light flooded the prison cell like a weapon. Cain sat up instantly. Zaira froze. 3 of her own kind stormed in. Soldiers. Tall, armored, furious. The one in front was her cousin commander, Vel. His silver armor was polished, his eyes burning. "What is this filth?" Vel shouted. Zaira stood slowly. Wait, listen. You're lying with him? Vel pointed at Cain. A human? It's not what you think. He grabbed her arm. I think you're disgusting. Cain stood, fists clenched, but still chained. Don't touch her. Vel turned to him. Shut your mouth, beast. Another soldier kicked Cain hard in the ribs. He dropped to the floor, coughing, but didn't cry out. Zaira's voice broke. Stop, Vel shoved her. You've lost your honor. You shared warmth with the enemy. I didn't. She shook her head, panicked. It wasn't like that. Then explain the bruise on your neck, Vel hissed. Or the way you're protecting him. Zaira reached toward Cain, but Vel slapped her hand away. Did he put his seed in you? He growled. Did you beg for it, traitor? Tears burned in her eyes. He never touched me like that. But you wanted him to, Vel spat. Your face says everything. Cain struggled to rise. Another soldier punched him again. Zaira screamed. Please, he didn't hurt me. I chose to sit beside him. I chose to speak with him. She stopped herself. But it was too late. Vel's face twisted in disgust. So you admit it. You laid with a human. You let his filthy hands touch your skin. It wasn't like that. You are no longer one of us. Those words hit harder than any blow. Zaira's knees gave out. Cain crawled toward her. Despite the pain, Vel kicked him again. Stay down. I won't leave her, Cain said through clenched teeth. She's not yours. Vel barked, but Cain looked at Zaira, and in her eyes he saw something that had never been there before. Not fear, not shame. Loyalty. Eel turned to the guards. Drag him to the pit. Let the cold finish what we should have done long ago. No, please, Zaira cried. The guards grabbed Cain by both arms. He looked at her one last time, and smiled. I'm glad I met you, he whispered. Then they took him away. Later that night, Zaira sat in a clean white room. Her old clothes had been returned. Her armor polished. Her wounds cleaned. But she didn't feel whole. She felt empty. The soldiers praised her for surviving, but they also whispered when she passed. They called her spoiled, touched, human lover. No one said it to her face. But she heard every word, and each one cut deeper than the last. She walked alone through the halls of her people's ship. And all she could think about was the human chained in the pit. Freezing, bleeding, still smiling. She had a choice now. Let them bury him quietly, like an enemy. Or go back, break the rules, face them all, and save the only person who ever made her feel like she was more than just a soldier, more than just a body, someone who was worth love. The pit was deeper than she imagined. Zaira stood above the edge, her boots sinking into frozen mud. The cold wind screamed through the trench like a warning. Below, in the shadows, Cain lay on the stone floor, shivering. He was barely conscious. His shirt was torn. His lips were blue. One hand had frostbite, black around the fingers. Zaira clutched the stolen key in her trembling fist. She had risked everything to get it. She'd lied, snuck past guards, disabled a camera, just to be here. Just to save him. She dropped to her knees and whispered into the pit. Cain, it's me. His eyes opened slowly. Zaira? I came to get you out. His voice was weak. You shouldn't be here. I had to come. Cain coughed. They'll kill you if they find you. I don't care. She tossed the key down. It clattered beside him. Unlock yourself. There's a tunnel to the west gate. It's unguarded for another 15 minutes. You can run. You can make it. He stared at the key. Then looked up at her. And didn't move. Zaira leaned closer. What are you waiting for? Cain gave a weak smile. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. Yes, I do. He looked at her, eyes steady. I'd rather freeze here than run and leave you behind. She choked on her breath. Don't say that. I already lost everything because of you. My name, my rank. My home. He pushed himself up, slowly, painfully. Then don't lose your life too. I don't care about my life anymore. Kane's voice dropped low. I do. Zaira's hands were shaking. Why are you always like this? Because I'm human, he said. We're stubborn, and I'm alien, she snapped, voice breaking. We don't know how to love like you do. Kane climbed to his knees, legs weak under him. You already learned, he said softly. Zaira froze. What? You learned? When you gave me water, when you let me touch your wounds, when you laid beside me and smiled in your sleep. She felt her heartbeat slam against her chest. I didn't smile, she whispered. You did, he said. You still do. Right before you wake up. Zaira covered her mouth with her hand. She wasn't crying, not yet, but something inside her was cracking. Something she had spent years locking away. Kane picked up the key. He looked at it, then looked at her again. I'll leave, he said. But only if you come with me. Zaira pulled back, stunned. What? Run with me, he said. Now tonight, you and me. No armies, no flags, just freedom. Zaira's whole world spun in that moment. Leave everything? Her people? Her past? But when she looked at him, she didn't see a human dot. She saw the only person who had ever made her feel alive. Then, footsteps. Torchl, IGHD. Voices. The guards were coming. Kane turned to her. You have 5 seconds. Kane, Zaira. Decide. She looked at the path behind her, the ship, the orders, the blood on her hands, then looked down at him. His breath was rising in small clouds. His eyes were clear and waiting. She made her choice. She whispered, Go west. I'll distract them. Kane's face changed. No, I'll find you. I swear. Kane nodded once, just once, then slipped into the shadows. Gone. Zaira stood, wiped her face, and turned toward the guards with a calm she didn't feel. Her voice was cold. He's not here. They searched, but they never looked behind the old waste tunnel. That night, Kane escaped. Zaira was questioned for hours, but never broke. And in the dark of her cell, as she lay alone again, she finally allowed herself to cry, because she had lied to the guards, but not to him. She would find him. No matter the cost. The war ended, but she didn't feel free. Zaira walked through a world that had changed. The skies were quiet now. The battles had stopped. Treaties were signed. Prisoners were exchanged. Her people called it peace, but her heart didn't believe them. Not while she still hadn't found him. Not while she still woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there. She searched 5 colonies, disguised herself, lied, traded food and favors. Always chasing one rumor. A human with frostbite scars. A man who limped when he walked. A quiet voice in a mining town said, He never tells anyone his name. But he never hurts anyone either. She followed that trail, all the way to a hidden farm on the edge of a dead world. There, she saw him. Kane. Older now, hair longer, beard rough. But it was him. He was fixing a solar panel, standing under the twin suns, arms bare, hands dirty, her throat closed up. She hadn't planned what to say. She thought she'd scream, cry, maybe slap him for not looking back, but instead, she just whispered his name, Kane. He stopped. Turned. Saw her. His eyes froze, just like before. The way they always looked at her, like she wasn't a soldier, but someone worth remembering. He dropped his tool, walked forward slowly, then stopped in front of her. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Then Kane asked, Did they hurt you? She shook her head. No, but I hurt every day you weren't there. Kane's jaw tensed. I wanted to come back, he said. But I thought you chose them. I chose you, she whispered. Silence. Then she did something she never imagined she'd do. She stepped forward and sank to her knees. Not in shame, not in surrender, but in something deeper. I have nothing left, she said softly. No rank, no name, no home. My people erased me, and I let them. Cain knelt too. You're not nothing, he said. She reached for his hand, placed it over her chest. My heart still beats because of you, she said. And if you want me, not just my body but all of me, she paused. Then I'm yours. Cain stared at her, breath caught in his throat. Then he did something she never expected. He didn't take her to the ground. He didn't kiss her lips. He pulled her into his arms and held her tight, real, safe. That night, they sat together by a fire. No chains, no prison walls, only stars above them. Zaira rested her head on his shoulder. Will they come for us? Maybe, Cain said. Would you run? He smiled. Only if you're with me. Zaira looked up at him. Do you still think I'm pretending? Cain leaned in, forehead touching hers. No, he said. Why not? Because you don't look like someone who's pretending. She smiled. And this time, she meant it. As the fire burned low, she whispered, What happens now? Cain didn't answer right away. Then softly he said, Now we make something that belongs to us, something they can't erase. And Zaira closed her eyes. Because for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like property. She didn't feel like a soldier. She felt like a woman wanted, protected, and finally loved.